Hey, welcome to another episode of the Rob Report. I'm your host, Robert Bob TV Brown. Before we get into the segment, by the end of this video, I want you to do a few things for me. First of all, if you like the video, hit the like button. Please do. If you don't like it, hit unlike. It's okay. Make sure you are subscribed to this channel. Sometimes, as Jimmy Dore would say, you find yourself unsubscribed and you need to make sure that you subscribe to this channel. Hit the notification bell right next to it so you can be notified when a new video is being dropped. Whoop, there it is. And more importantly, the super chat will be on for this segment, so if you want to donate toward the efforts of Bob TV, that's freely up to you. Any amount will help toward the growth of this channel. My name is Robert Brown with the Rob Report. Let's get into it. Well, good day. Welcome to another episode of Rob Report. I'm your host, Bob TV. How you doing today? We're going to get into a topic that is very important to talk about because of the things that are happening right now concerning this Capitol siege. Let me put this back up here. So we're going to talk about this is not a game, y'all. This is not a game. And we need to figure out who's on our side and who's not on our side. Because this image that you see right here, I don't think they showed this image on TV. I'm still thinking it's a doctored image. This can't be. Did they light things on fire on the Capitol steps? I mean, we had people going out there marching for Medicare for all in small numbers, and they came out and told them they couldn't even take a step. You can't go no farther than this. They didn't even like them giving free speech in that particular area of the Capitol building. And all they was trying to say, look, all you people who claim that you're working for the people, 75% plus of the American people, Democrats and Republicans, want Medicare for all, and you guys are not even putting it to a floor vote. So if you want a position of control, of power, then you need to put that to a floor vote before we put you in power, or we, meaning the people, and the people who represent us, give you that power. Because we initiate the representatives to give you that power. If that representative give you the power without us telling them to give you the power, especially when we directly told them no, then they are not representing us. They were ready to move them off those steps for a simple demand on politicians to push for a floor vote for Medicare for all. Likewise, push for a floor vote for $2,000 stimulus checks, which Mitch McConnell wouldn't do it. Now understand this, because people want to make this only about Republicans and Trumps. I'm letting you know right now that this thing is going to be bigger than this. Because you could quell that fire down, but something's going to start it up and it's going to be bigger again. Yet you don't understand that you have another fire that's going on, now a fire going on with progressives and a fire going on in the black community that could ignite to that level. But if they did even think about igniting it to that level, especially the black community who are asking for demands, who's asking to close the wealth gap, who's asking for reparation, who's asking for you to deal with white supremacy from the rooter to the tutor. If we just step on the steps, one step with that many people, you would have lit us up like a Christmas tree. Oh, yeah. Cow. This is something that we have to really, really deal with. Because last year, a lot of you people tuned in because y'all thought I was going to pull up the smoke for Bernie Sanders and I was going to kiss it behind like I did in 2016. And I went Bernie a bust. As a matter of fact, I named the show Bernie a Bust TV. And then when Bernie caved in and quit and gave up and went with the opposition. What do you mean he went with the opposition? He had to pick one side. Either he was going to pick Republican and not going to Jimmy. No, he didn't have to pick no sides. He could have went independent. But because he wanted to kiss the behind of the Democratic Party, he caved in to support Hillary Clinton, who were anti-people. Now, not anti-government, but anti-people. And you got to understand who's supposed to be controlling the government It's the people. So in a sense, if you're anti-people, you're still anti-government, because the government cannot get its power or cannot get its energy without people. At least this federal government don't supposed to. Now, if you was in totalitarian government, authoritarian government, yeah, people don't have no choice. And yes, she lost 12 million people left the Democratic Party and was ready to support Bernie Sanders, but Bernie Sanders said, no, I'm going to support Clinton. I encourage you to do the same thing to stop this man. He's the most dangerous. Now, was Bernie Sanders right in that sense? Yeah, let me put it this way. Yes, he was right. Donald Trump is the most dangerous man. But you do understand, he didn't say the only dangerous man. He was the most dangerous. He was right on that. But that don't mean I should automatically support less dangerous. Sure, we got an insurrection of Trump nut huggers, Trump worshipers, Trump sycophants, trying to do whatever they can to keep their cult leader in office by disrupting the election and willing to do anything necessary to stop the Congress from certifying the votes, because they sit there and bought the lie that I won, and not only did I won big with no freaking proof, no evidence. And they're trying to steal it from me, and he's begging the governor, he's begging the Secretary of State of Georgia to help him come up with some votes, 11,000 plus votes. People bought into that. Now, would that happen with Hillary Clinton? No, I doubt it. But you know, some things would have happened with Hillary Clinton. Like, we will continue to send innocent soldiers to go fight wars, which we have no interest in. And when I say we, the American people don't have any interest in. Federal government have interest in. The contractors have interest in. Different industries have an interest in, because there's money makers for them over there. But for the American people, we don't. And our sons and daughters are going out there giving their lives out, putting their life on the line for what they call the American resolve, which they call American interests. Now I'm going to get off Trump. Now let me get on a little bit. Let me show you a couple things. Got to show you this. So, question is, what really went on in there? Well, we saw that the people, some had guns. Black people couldn't even make it down a couple of streets with guns in the car without them killing them in the car. They could have been gun running for some drug dealer, ain't have nothing to do with insurrection, but they would have killed them just for the fact they got guns in the car. Yet, at the same time, these guys go to the Capitol store. They already Capitol steps. They already found one guy who had bombs who got out of his car to go participate in the event. Now, I had somebody say, well, Donald Trump didn't outright tell people to go out there and storm the Capitol. Bruh, what dummy is going to outright say storm the Capitol? You can send signals. He told them, I'm going to go there and we're going to make some ruckus, and we're going to support our brave men who, pretty much he's saying, we're going to support those who are going to vote against this, but those who are not going to vote against this, we're going to cause hell. That's what he said. He just didn't say it outright like that. His language started this. Now, they were willing to start some stuff anyway, but his language did not calm it down. He did not say, look, we're going to do this fair. We're going to do this by the book. Look, you're wrong. I heard some of you guys plan on storming the Capitol steps to stop this. That is wrong. He didn't do that. As usual, he's not taking responsibility of being a leader. He's taking responsibility of being a cult leader. Yes, if you're that much of a worshiper of Donald Trump, guess what you are? A cult leader. It's the same thing with these people who worship Barack Obama. You sit there and sitting there worshiping that man as if he has done no wrong, defending him, when clearly you don't understand politics and you never even check the person's record or check what they voted on or what they didn't vote on, and you'll realize he did a whole lot of wrong. They just didn't televise it. Yet you got Donald Trump doing all kind of wrong. They televising it. This article said Capitol Police officer dead by suicide after responding to Capitol riot. Why did this guy kill himself? Or did he kill himself? But let's look at this. 50-year veteran of U.S. Capitol Police has taken his life after responding to Wednesday's deadly riots in the halls of Congress. Howard Lemongood was 51 years old. How this white man, this white Capitol officer, take his life after this incident? What caused this man to want to take his life? $50 million question. Black cloth draped over the entrance headquarters honoring the life of Officer Brian D. Sicknick. 4 other people, including the unarmed Trump supporter, died after Wednesday storming the Capitol during a congressional hearing certifying Joe Biden's election victory. The purpose of them storming the Capitol is not just insurgency, but they wanted to thwart the certification of election, which is a federal crime, which nobody in that whole deal, not a one of them, even the ones who didn't participate violently, should get off for trying to thwart the election. The whole point of them marching down is to try to disrupt the election. Well, the election was in November. Yes, the ending process of the entire election is the Electoral College certifying the votes in the Congress putting the seal of approval on it. They came there to stop that, because they listened to their cult leader say, I won, and I won by a landslide. They cheated me. How can they do that? This man, and I was discussing that with a family member who think that this man knows he lied. No, Donald Trump actually believed he won. That is an extreme pathological liar, that the lies that he make up these lies in his mind. They're pretty much lies, but in his mind, they're the truth. So he's going to spit what he believes the truth. This man honestly believed that this thing was rigged. Now, I'm not saying there's no election fraud. There's election fraud in every election. And there's election fraud in every state, dealing with every electoral organization. And yes, the machines can be hacked. That's why we need to go back to paper ballots and ranked choice voting. But in this case, there's no widespread evidence of that. And even if it was, you didn't win, dude. Joe Biden had 7 million more votes. And I know you can't believe you lost Georgia, but I always saw Georgia as a blue state, but Georgia always had a hard time getting people registered on the voting rolls. And I also see that in Alabama too. And also, see, most of these southern states are overran with either black conservatives that's going to vote Democrat, or pretty much black Latinos. And the numbers are changing. But because they have been successful on taking people off the voter rolls, and by the time you try to get on the voting roll, it's too late, you win. That's a voter suppression tactic. And Trump can't believe that tactic worked in this case against him and against the Republican Party. And now, as a result of it, we got a 50-50 split in the Senate. The Democrats have the House, and the Democrats got the presidency. Sources said Lemongood was off duty when he died Saturday. Every Capitol Police puts the security of others before their own safety. And Officer Libengood was an example of selfless service that is a hallmark of USCP, Capitol Police Union Chairman Gus Papathanassiou said in a statement, "This is a tragic day." Libengood joined the force in 2005, was assigned to the Senate Division. He is the son of former state Senate Sergeant at Arms Howard S. Libengood. Libengood's death adds to the turmoil among law enforcement at the Capitol following Wednesday riot. My question is, people, why did you kill yourself? Was it something before this happened? Was this because this happened and he was there and he didn't do his job, I guess? Maybe he didn't do his job. Why would he kill? Maybe. Who knows? I don't know. But we did find that there were Capitol Police allowing the protesters to come in, and each one of those guys need to be investigated. Because they could have been part of a grand scheme, a grand plan to get in there without real opposition. Capitol Police names new acting chief. Because of the debacle was so bad, the chief stepped down. Now, mind you, they need to investigate the chief. Why would you want to step down? Is it because you didn't do a good job? Or is it because you did a good job? Not a good job for justice, not a good job for your job on protecting the Capitol, but good job on white supremacy. I don't know. He needs to be investigated. They named a new acting chief. Here's the thing about this particular chief. This chief is going to get his full pension. He probably retire. And he might become a hero to the right. Who knows? Or a hero to white supremacy. Who knows? I don't know. And it doesn't matter what color they are. Uganda Pittman has been named acting police chief. Well, let's see who she is. All right. So as usual, when white people screw up something, and a lot of time it's usually a supremacist, a black person comes in and take over the job as if that's going to fix anything. Rahm Emanuel mess up, cover the crime of a young man getting killed by police officers. He's removed, and they put a black woman in that position. They got her voted into the position, and she ain't all that herself. Lori Lightfoot. But this is the new acting chief. Now, sister girl, are you going to do a thorough investigation on every one of your police officers that were assigned that day? Because, sister girl, that's exactly what you need to do. You need to do that. And you cannot cover up and you can't do that. You can't do what a lot of black sisters do when they get power, placate to white power or placate to white zaddyism. You got to get down to the bottom of this, sister. ASAP. Here's the United States Capitol Police website. They're hiring. FBI and NYPD was told FBI and NYPD told Capitol Police about the possibility of violence before the riot, senior official says. So according to NBC News, NYPD and FBI together consulted Capitol Police that something about to go down. Gave them plenty of time to prepare for it. I guess they wasn't prepared. Or were they prepared? And when I say that, was they prepared to defend or was they prepared to offend? I'm just going through up-to-date articles. Man seen chasing black Capitol Police officer in the video faces charges, and he should. He should face charges. He should face charges for the simple fact that police told him to stand down and he continued to press his way through. He may not have a weapon. He may not seem like he looked like a threat. The police always should have been able to take him down, but maybe he figured if he take him down, the rest of them going to jump him. What are you supposed to do in a situation like that? But the fact of the matter, the officer told you to stand down, you're intruding, put you in a position where you should get arrested. You should be investigated, and there should be a long investigation on who you really are. I can go on and on with the articles. Capitol cop led DC rioters from open Senate chamber door before it was locked. So if you see throughout these videos, and there are a bunch of them out there, that you saw Capitol Police pretty much open the gate so them to come in, pretty much wave them on to come in, pretty much escorting them in. What kind of crap is that? U.S. lawmakers said police downplayed the threat of violence before Capitol siege. It's like when we had the alert that something was about to go down in New York City that was big, and the federal government ignored it, and then we had 9/11. FBI and intelligence are worrying about the wrong thing when they should be worrying about the thing that really matters, securing this country. You're worrying about the NFC. You're worrying about Black Lives Matter. You're worrying about ADOS. You're worrying about black organizations, and you do whatever you can to snuff it out when your real threat is white supremacy in the government that was built on white supremacy. Now, before we get into this, I want to bring myself back up. I live in the Bronx. I live in New York. Okay? I used to live in Mount Vernon. I moved from Mount Vernon recently in July. Love Mount Vernon. Mount Vernon's small town. You know, Heavy D used to talk about it, and people think Mount Vernon is a big part of New York, big city, and think, no, Mount Vernon is pretty much small town, pretty much decent town. I mean, if you ever want small town living, that's about 20 minutes away from New York, 10 minutes away from New York, 5 minutes away, Mount Vernon. Mount Vernon, Yonkers. DMX from Yonkers, you know, the Locks, you know, all of them. I love Mount Vernon. It's a nice town. It's a nice place. Got some Jamaican food, man. Man, whew, tastes good. Jamal Bowman represent that district. Jamal Bowman also represent a couple more districts. It still represent my district. AOC represent my district. I go to talk to AOC about two things, reparation and white supremacy, and she want to blow it off. She don't even want to use the term. And in order to fight white supremacy, in order to push reparation, you got to use it. And you got to go all the way over to cash payment. So I myself got a chance to chop it up with Jamal Bowman, town hall style. And we pressed him that majority of people in Mount Vernon, in the community that you're supporting, if you go down the strip of Mount Vernon, mostly black and Latino businesses and some Arabs, not a bunch of whites. You go on the other side, You know, you got a whole bunch of white business, but you go across that railroad track, the MTA railroad track to the other side, you're going to see mostly businesses of color. We talked to Jamal Bowman about reparations. We talked to Jamal Bowman about white supremacy and how we need to address this, because these are two of the biggest things that's holding black people back. The ideology of white supremacy that's built into the United States structure as it is today, even though we have made some strive, is still deeply built, and we need to topple it, and we can't continue to wait any longer. And the fact that white supremacy is responsible for the wealth gap between blacks and whites, and that is a big factor in the way. So I pushed my support for Jamal Bowman on that factor to start dealing with reparations and white supremacy. Give me a moment. And in the black community, this is our number one concern. I know white society and working class people and poor want our number one concern to be the same as your number one concern. It's not that way. See, the wealth gap is more of an urgent need. I know you guys want immigration laws, but that's not our number one concern. Because we seeing the immigration oftentimes hurts our community. Meaning the money that's going toward immigration reform is money taken out of the pockets. How can I say this? And don't get me wrong, we need immigration reform, but that's not our first priority. Our first priority is making sure we survive. Because the native blacks that's been here since chattel slavery had our inheritance stolen from us. Our survival is based on getting our inheritance restored. We're talking about life and death survival. Immigration is not a life and death thing. That wealth gap is a life or death thing. So you got to not get upset when we push this, because I even got black people saying we need to stop talking about this and push working class issues. I ain't got no problem with working class issues. I got a problem with me putting it as a priority, because our priority is separate from that. Yes, we go through the same thing you go through, and yes, it makes sense to join us. We don't say we don't join you in that effort, but our number one effort in the black community is repairing the breach, fixing the wealth gap. Because without that, we don't survive. And look, this got nothing to do with black wealth. This has nothing to do with immigrant blacks. We're talking about ADOS blacks. People who've been here since the foundation of this country. Now, Jamal Bowman, when he began to fight against Elliot Ingalls, Elliot Ingalls, longtime congressman, that do-nothing congressman, he wouldn't even mention white supremacy. He was not mentioning reparation. Number one, pretty much because he's a low-key white supremacist himself. Yeah, and he's a Democrat. Do you understand that there are a lot of white supremacists in the Democratic Party, too? They're not just in the Republican Party. White supremacy controls both parties. And it controls how both parties run. And both of them use black people as their bootlicks to get things done through them. And they put them in high positions of power. Don't you dare think just because they do that, they don't have, that they're still not white supremacists. No, it's part of white supremacy tactics. It's part of their tool to use black people to get their agenda pushed. A lot of time, having black people pushing the agenda for them. Now, Jamal went on the news and say, hey, I support reparations. Good on Jamal Bowman for saying that. But we also need more people in Congress, more people in the Senate to acknowledge that white supremacy is real and to come together to push to dismantle it, the ideology. Now, you can never stop somebody from being racist or bigot or white supremacist, but you can stop them from implementing white supremacist tactics as legislation. And the time is now. The time ain't later. The time is now. That's why I appreciate Jamal Bowman going on TV and pretty much saying this.
Because as we experienced Wednesday's horrible events, my first question was, how the hell were they able to penetrate the Capitol? Why were Capitol Police so undermanned and overwhelmed so quickly? Why wasn't there more coordination between Capitol Police, Department of Homeland Security, and the FBI in preparation for this event? So many unanswered questions, and that's why we need a thorough investigation. And as we've seen on the media, some of the Capitol Police let the rioters in to the Capitol. So, yes, Donald Trump needs to be removed immediately, but let's finally, as a nation, from local, state, to the federal government, call white supremacy what it is, domestic terrorism, and deal with it accordingly throughout every American institution. Thank you very much.
See, this is why I supported Jamal Bowman. This is why I push people to vote for Jamal Bowman. See, like when I say no black agenda, no vote, I mean no black agenda, no vote. If you don't have a black agenda, why are black people voting for you? Why are you seeking the most coveted vote to give power to white supremacy? I don't understand that. And then you pit us between two white supremacy, one low-key, one out front, in your face, loud, brash, unattractive white supremacy, and the other one is down low on the low-key, very attractive white supremacy with a history attached to it. And then you automatically think people got to be forced to vote for one of the two. No, people who are principled, who care about their culture and care about their people, realize that white supremacy, period, is not good. And you do whatever you can not to give it power. But I understand people don't, their thinking is not like me and people like Jamal Bowman and a whole lot of other people. See, I never told you not to vote. I say vote for people who support black empowerment. And when I say black empowerment, I'm not talking about just giving somebody a political position. I'm talking about black empowerment, funneling, doing things like supporting reparation with a cash payment, closing the wealth gap, dealing with white supremacy from the rooter to the tutor. See, Jamal Bowman said, look, we need to deal with it from the local, state, and federal level. See, they don't want to talk about that, and what they're going to do is they're going to do whatever they can to try to get rid of Jamal Bowman, because they don't want legislators like that. The whole CBC, the Black Caucuses, are too much of a coward to even mention white supremacy and even state it and even push that we need to topple it. Because in order for you to do that, you got to acknowledge it, that it's everywhere. It's in both parties, and it's from the government all the way down to your local level. And then when you see somebody as a white supremacist, you need to stop covering up for them. You weren't going to cover up for Donald Trump. You call him white supremacist, but you're not going to expose the white supremacists in the Democratic Party? That's what you call a political hack, a coward, and a hypocrite. And people get mad at me because I refuse to be hypocritical. I call it all on left, right, center, it doesn't matter. I call it out. And I'm not going to support it. Now, if you want to support it, that's fine. But I'm not. I don't empower bigots. I don't empower racists. And people, well, if you don't vote, you're going to empower. That's a doggone lie. That's a doggone lie. One of the things I like that I can say about Pontius Pilate during that time, Pontius Pilate had the authority to let Jesus go. But he realized it wasn't in his authority to do so, because the people had an opportunity to let somebody go. He put it in the hands of the people to let them go. All right, I ain't got nothing to do with this. I can't honestly let this man go because of your laws here that you say he broke. I can't let him go, but I'm going to give you an opportunity to let him go. It's on your hands. Pontius Pilate is not responsible for Jesus' death. It was the Jewish people there, the hypocrites, the Sadducees, and the Pharisees. The blood was on their hand, but they want to blame it on Pontius Pilate. Jesus told Pontius Pilate, bro, you ain't got no authority. In other words, Jesus was saying, look, this ain't what happens to me ain't got nothing to do with you, bro. You can let me go, and I still gotta die. The only way somebody can get elected is when you tally votes. You can't count votes. You can't sound like Trump. You can't use votes that you didn't get to say I won. It just don't happen. You only can use votes that you got. And if the other person got more votes than you did, that's how they win. If the person decided not to vote, you can't take credit. So even though I am an avid voter and I campaign for organizations like Jamal Bowman and try to push people to office, I'm also more concerned about advocating my people than advocating to get somebody in political office. And if you're not going to advocate for my people, then I'm not putting you in office. And Jamal Bowman said to us that not only am I going to push reparations, I'm going to put reparation with cash payment. Not only am I going to get to Capitol Hill and start doing whatever I can to stamp out white supremacy from the rooter to the tutor, I'm going to encourage other black politicians and other white politicians to join me. Well, he looked like he's trying to make good on his word on that incident. See, he's right. White supremacy need to be dealt with from the rooter to the tutor, but not just in this particular case, Jamal Bowman. You also need to get a commission to look at white supremacy in the Democratic Party as well as the Republican Party and root it out. And if those people are attached to white supremacy, they don't need to be in office anymore. Just like those people who are attached to white supremacy don't need to be in position of authority on the police level. And when I say attached, you don't literally have to be part of an organization. If you have that ideology, you don't need to be in a position of power. You have a freedom to your ideology, but you definitely don't need to be in a position of power. And you definitely don't need to be in a position of power where you can craft up laws that's going to implement white supremacy, which happened in the 90s with Joe Biden. And it's still affected to this day. And you shouldn't, and glad Trump is gone, so he can't do it. But don't mean the next person that might get elected won't do it. Don't mean Joe Biden won't do it. We just assume he won't. I can't assume he won't because he have in the past. And let me keep going. Okay, I'm getting off subject here. And let me get Jamal back up and let's talk to him a little bit. Talk about him a little bit more. Jamal Bowman sat down with the RZA from the Wu-Tang Clan. And he discussed education, socialism, and the future of America with the RZA. I'm not going to go over this. You can go to OK Player and look that up for yourself. It's a good read. Bowman said he wanted the federal raise to $25 an hour. RZA noted that Republicans argue that these are ideas of the socialists. The Republicans and the wealthy are cool with socialism when it works in their favor, Bowman explained. When there was a financial crash in 2008 and banks need to be bailed out, we gave two separate checks, $700 billion to bail them out. It's not about money, it's about values. Do we care about black and brown people and poor people enough to uplift them and give them the reparation they deserve because we've had a system that has historically neglected them? Now let's get back to this. We've dealt with Jamal Bowman that reparations need to be due to those who've been robbed of their inheritance. Jamal Bowman cannot talk about reparations for nobody else but blacks. Now you tell me how Latinos should get reparations from this country when this country having stolen an inheritance from them. They chose to come to this country. You happen to come to one of the racist countries in the world today, but you chose to come to this country. We didn't choose to come here. So your first priority, Jamal Bowman, is to make sure reparations get out to just black people first. And not just any black people, but native blacks, those who came here through chattel slavery first. Now, anybody who suffered racism as a result of Jim Crow, that's the second phase. Right now, we're not talking about second phase. We're talking about phase one. Jamal Bowman, you need to continue to push for reparations. Not because they neglected us, it's because they stole from us. So Jamal, and the reason I'm showing this is because Jamal Bowman is trying to stay true, but you can see that he's not 100% in. And we got to get him 100% in. The Democrat introduced a bill to investigate Capitol Police on whether Capitol Police have ties to white supremacist group. My question is, are you investigating people in general from the rooter to the tutor about white supremacy groups? Here's a quote from Jamal Bowman. We demand reparations. Now, my question, Jamal Bowman, are you doing this for ADOS? Or are you doing it for all people? Right now, you need to just focus on ADOS, American Descendants of Slaves. Got people saying, facts 100. Jamal, you're for sure one of the coolest middle school principals out there. I remember when he was a school principal. Yes, I support reparation. We must have a real national reckoning and pay real dollars for the devastation that we caused them. So you got people jumping on this. And, at least he's out here pushing it. He's not running away from it. He's not trying to include everybody like AOC. This was August 21st. He wasn't even elected. This man pretty much was talking reparation, and he pretty much was talking reparation in the cash payment form. All this black backlash to defund the police. How fast are people going to fold when we get serious about reparations? He is pushing. And then here come ADOS founder Antonio Moore. He said, as a co-founder of ADOS, the group who tabled reparations, Jamal Bowman, please don't connect us to reparations. Don't connect U.S. reparations for chattel slavery and Jim Crow with defund the police. They should never be aligned as a metric. And what world is paying the debt more radical than defunding the police? And Antonio is right. Be for reparation, but don't fund that in with defund the police. And Jamal, you need to get with the people who's been leading this movement and become part of the movement and be our voice in Congress. See, let me put this up real quick. When we talk about reparations, toppling white supremacy, when we talk about black economics, when we talk about black politics, the foundation has this is purpose. This is the reason why. From 1600 to 1900, we went through 4 phases of oppression, 5 actually. This is why I say you can't include all these other people in this, because they didn't go through this. They didn't help build this country, and they didn't have their inheritance stolen. Bad enough we've been taken from our land and brought here. But it's the hell we went through, and we demand repercussion. And even in the midst of hell, we began to build, and we had that taken. Every time we started coming up, they start a fire. Anytime we start a fire, they try to snuff it out. Start American slavery, 1600s. Declaration of Independence adopted, we got no freedom. They ramped up slave trade. 1863 Emancipation Proclamation ended slavery, but we end up going through the whole deconstruction or Reconstruction era. Jim Crow started during that time. They began to rob us in labor when it came to sharecropping, the whole 9 yards. 1940, make slavery illegal. You made it illegal, but yet when we go out here and fight your wars for you, you treat us like trash. We begin to build our own towns and our own business, and you did whatever you can to destroy that. And then here comes Joe Biden and the Reagan administration and the Bill Clinton administration developing mass incarceration through the crime bill, along with Bernie Sanders and a whole lot of people who supported that, even the CBC. So you cannot lump everybody in this particular level of going out for reparation. Now, what this has to do with Trump? Well, Jamal Bowman went on to step. Let me get myself back up here. Before that, let me continue to go through this. This is Jamal Bowman for Congress, Reconstruction Agenda, Truth and Reconciliation Commission, Transfer Criminal Justice, Historic Economic Investments. This was on this page. Go take a look at it. Get off our necks. Let us breathe. Start talking about Medicare for all, housing justice, free college cancer students. But where's your reparations, Jamal? You talk it, but I don't see it in your policy planks. That's why when he come to town, I want to talk to that brother. Where's the reparations up here? Where's the reparations? Where's the reparations on this page, Jamal? Is it up here? I'm looking here. Folks, you see it? Show it. You talk about white supremacy. Where's the reparations? Let's go to issues again. Let's go to the issues. No black agenda. No black agenda. But wait. Let's go down here. Jamal moment on how Congress can dismantle institutional racism. All right, I'm not going through these articles, but you can go through them. He talked about we need to start dismantling institutional racism, and he actually used the word white supremacy in these articles. All right, so here's one right here. This was 2 days ago. Just like Christchurch, the attacks on the Capitol, the Tree of Life Synagogue, and Emmanuel AME Church, I asked every member of Congress, are we ready to defeat white supremacy? Are we ready to defeat white supremacy? Democrats introduce a bill to investigate if Capitol Police have ties to white supremacy. You need to stretch this bill out to any official of power position. Any position of power. Starting from the president on down. You shouldn't even run for office if you got any ties to white supremacy or support white supremacy policies. Look, I'm almost done. The whole point I'm making is white supremacy did not start with Trump. It's always been here. Did Trump edge it on? Yes, his mouth being brash about it. You gave them, these people got a national hero of themselves. True white supremacy don't like that. True white supremacy don't like to be up front. That's why they wear the hoods as Klan members. That's why they wear suits now, and you would never know. They realized the white hood was not enough. We need to look like we're on their side so we can smile in their face all the time, want to take their place, backstabbers. They are judges. They are police officers that happen to have a black cop ride right next to them. They pride themselves on being low key, not up front. That's why real white supremacists don't like, real deal white supremacists with an intellect don't like Trumpism. But Trumpism is here. You're going to have the incognito, down low white supremacy that get more stuff done. And then you have the white, up front, loud, in your freaking face white supremacists in the forefront. And they want you to buy into that one so they can do the dirty deal under the radar. And then you're going to be forced sometime to vote between the upfront, brash, in-your-face white racism, and then you're going to vote for the down low key. And you can have the down low key, and they can do twice as much damage as the loud upfront white supremacists. I don't want either one of them. I don't want none of them in power. None of them should get up. There shouldn't be a choice. They both should be denied power. Most people ain't got the guts to do that. Most people say I'd rather get a cut in my arm than a cut in the throat. I don't want to get cut at all, bro. And who say I got to get a cut? Now, Jamal Bowman is standing in a position to be of the greater good. That's why I'm looking forward to seeing you, Jamal, when you come home, bro. Because you're talking the talk, but you need to go further than Capitol Police when you talk about white supremacy. You need to investigate white supremacy in the Capitol itself, and you need to investigate white supremacy in both political major parties, and you need to be doing it from the tutor to the rooter, from the White House on down to mayor or janitor or whatever. You need to put out laws to deal with white supremacy. You need to we talked about defunding the police. We talked about harsh laws for the criminal acts of police departments and people who work in those departments. Yes. All this stuff need to be done. And you keep talking that talk, bruh. And you keep talking about reparation. You talk about in the cash payment. Yes, he do go as far as say in the cash payment. Now, how much do he think? It don't matter because they don't make that decision. We do. But keep talking that talk, bruh. But I need you to back it up all the way. Don't go halfway. Go all the way in, man. And don't let these politicians put the brakes on you. Be willing to deny a position of importance to them so you can keep the work done for us. Don't be kissing behind to get a political position on the defense committee or the budget committee. Don't be fighting for that. If anything, you develop a committee to deal with racism, to deal with injustice, to deal with white supremacy. You develop a committee like that. And you put real deal aggressive people on that. But you can't start. You can start with Capitol Police, but you got to go to the FBI. You got to go everywhere, man. That got to be done everywhere. The problem with this government is they don't want to deal with white supremacists. And yes, even though Joe Biden was standing right behind him, Joe Biden knows that her husband has initiated white supremacy policies, some of the most dangerous ones that still affected to this day. Now, he's going to have the seat of power. And a lot of people think Joe Biden's changed. I hope to God he is. Me personally, I don't. I hope to God he is. Thank God he's older. He's of an old age, and he ain't got that fire that he used to have back in the 90s. Because the 90s Joe Biden, I wouldn't have picked him over Trump either. That guy was horrible. And yes, it's justifiable to develop a crime bill, but not to the point where you know exactly what it's going to do, when you know exactly it's going to over-empower the police department, when you know exactly that most the police departments are fueled with white supremacy, and you know they're going to go over and above their job to just for pleasure, just because they got the power to do it. Yes, we need something to deal with crime, but it went over and above, and it dealt with more than crime. Sometimes it was just pure power juicing themselves. Drunk on power. I can get out the car and rough you up, beat you up, and put you in the car and interrogate you and throw you in the water. What you gonna do about it? I could plant drugs on you and send you to jail for 10, 20, 30 years, and you never get out. What you gonna do about it? I could put you in jail and have guards to make sure you stay in jail. So this is, let me bring this back up. This is not a game. You see white supremacy in its action for its hero. I call it ignorant white supremacy. Smart white supremacy don't do this stuff. Smart white supremacy don't do this. They don't go around and put a cross in your yard and burn it up like they do in the Capitol in this picture. Smart white supremacy don't do that. They find other ways to burn you even worse. They could be in the hospital and you don't know what they put in your arm. They could be anywhere. That's why you gotta keep a guard, because this is not a game. And when you're dealing with going against it, you got to go all the way until it's gone. You can't monkey around with this thing. And you got to snuff it out wherever it is. And you can't be secret and you can't be quiet. You got to call it out. See, the Nazis, they were doing whatever they can to root out Jewish people, to annihilate them. Now, I'm not for the annihilating. I don't advocate annihilating people. We are humanists. We should be humane toward one another and make sure everybody has the same opportunity, the same equal opportunity. But you do have to root out this ideology. And you have to deal with these people who have this ideology. The brown coats was helping to root out the Jewish people and get them exposed and get them locked up. Hitler, there was a coup attempt the first time with Hitler. There was a coup attempt with Saddam Hussein. And I can go on and on and on about the different coup attempts that it failed the first time, failed the second time, but eventually it happened. We cannot let that happen again. You got to deal with the results of the foundation of it right now. Every black member of Congress need to be siding with Jamal Bowman and stop being freaking bootlicks and trying to get a position of power and help your people out. You got to do whatever you can to take away that power from white supremacists. If you find out they're tired of white supremacists, they don't get a gun. No, that's the Second Amendment. If you operate in hate, you don't need a gun. Just like a psychotic person don't need a gun and a knife. You don't need a gun. Because you're going beyond defending your territory. Some of you are trying to kill a black person or a Latino person, anybody that's not white. You fantasize. Some of you fantasizing about killing them. Some of you wish you can kill 10 of us as a sport and get away with it. And look, and let me tell you something. Black folks, you don't know how people talk about you when you're not at the table, not around the table. They can be any color. They could be Arab, they can be Latino, they can be other black people. They talk about you like a dog. I went around a bunch of Nigerians one day. They was mad because I was hanging out, dating one of their Nigerian girls. They talking about me like they was Klansmen. I'm done. I said this is not a game, and it's not. This is not a game. White supremacy need to be dealt with from the rooter to the tutor. We need more politicians talking like Jamal Bowman and really go after it. We need more politicians, black politicians talking like Jamal Bowman and going after it. Jamal Bowman, don't let them change you. Because if you do, there's going to be heat on you from the hood. And you ain't going to get reelected. When we put you in position, you better do the doggone thing right away and you go hard or go home. Or we going to send you home. Right now, Jamal Bowman is kind of going hard now. He punked out. And see, the thing is, I gauge you. Because the progressive was trying to push Medicare for all for a flow vote against one of their own. And you, who also got pushed by progressives, not just blacks, but progressives push you, you caved in on Nancy Pelosi getting that position. You sided with voting for her instead of making her support a policy that 75 plus of Americans are in favor for. You couldn't even tell her, look, you're not going to get my vote unless you support it. So yes, you're talking the talk, but I'm going to be on the edge and be on your behind when it comes to walking the walk. Because talk is good. Talk is cheap. But will you actually do? And judging from your action along with Cori Bush and the rest of the squad, you don't have to do. You only have to talk. Stop tweeting. Tired of politicians tweeting. Oh, we need this and that. Go do it then. Oh, we kind of stopped this. Go do it then. Stop tweeting it. We want more action. We don't want tweets. We don't want acknowledgement. We don't want you to tell us what needs to be done. We want y'all to do it. We sent you to D.C. to get it done. We shouldn't have to pressure you. We should never have to put pressure on Nancy Pelosi to do a floor vote for Medicare for all, just like we shouldn't have to pressure Mitch McConnell to do a floor vote for 2000 when most of Americans want it. You do what most Americans want, not what you want. But we have to pressure people. Shame. And it's a shame we got to pressure Democrats who we elected to do a Democratic policy. And deny a Democratic power if they're not willing to go all the way with you. You're not going to do it? I'm not putting you in that seat. It's time for us to stop talking and start doing. So yes, Jamal Bowman, you want to push back against white supremacy because they're showing up and showing out. And I'm not talking about the smart intellectual white supremacy. I'm talking about the loud, brash, make no sense. I'm telling you, true, raw dog, hard to the core white supremacists don't like this loud, brash, upfront white supremacists. They distance themselves. It's still a form of white supremacy. It's still horrible, but the smart, intellectual white supremacy, they loathe that stuff. They loathe it. Now look, they're disgusting themselves, but they loathe them. See, the smart intellectual white supremacists don't do this stuff. Man, they get more done under the radar than over the radar. See, when you're on radar, you can get shot down. But when you stealth, you can get more stuff done. You can do more damage. And that's how true white supremacist organizations do. They're stealthy. They're not upfront. And yes, even though Donald Trump is a white supremacist, they don't like that guy. That's not the guy they support because he's making them all look bad. That's why you see a lot of white people pointing the finger at Donald Trump. Not because they love you. It's because they want their guy to be in charge, to go back to that down low under the radar white supremacy. I hate them both. They both exist. And Jamal Bowman, you need to be attacking both, going after both, and you need to continue to stand on the very thing that they don't want to lose. And that's equality. They don't want equality of wealth. They don't want to give ADOS their fair share of their reward. They want to continue to rule and reign when it comes to economics. And you got to do whatever you can to stop them from ruling and reigning. You got to go as far as you can, pushing, toppling white supremacy, and you got to go far as you can to take away something that they value the most, and that's white economics, not sharing any of it with black people. Black economics have to come even playing with white economics. Problem is, white economics are afraid of black economics, that if we do equal them in pay, they believe that we're actually going to surpass them, and we just may. Not that we're trying to, it's just because we're that doggone good of a people. I'm Robert Brown with the Rob Report. I'll holler at you later. I will holler at you later. I'm Rob Brown with the Rob Report. I'll holler at you later. Peace.